Tottenham are reportedly set for a big summer transfer window, but what does that mean for the January window ahead? Well, today we're going to look at these updates from Alistair Gold, Fabrizio Romano, Gianluca Di Marzio, and the words from Antonio Conte himself. Also taking a look at the latest reports with regards to Adama Traore, Matt Doherty, and any other player that may be involved in a transfer either to or from Tottenham this January window. If you are new to the channel, my name is Matt and I'm a senior soccer analyst for Opta and Stats Perform. And do make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you want more of these transfer updates, plus live reactions to matches and many other things surrounding Tottenham. Lisa, Johnny, good to see you in the live chat. Everyone else, let me know if you're here. 43 watching already. Give us a hello in the live chat. Let me know who's here. But we're going to dive straight into things. And Alistair Gold has given us a little bit of an update on a position that we may be looking for. He has said that centre midfield is a position Antonio Conte wants to add to with potential new recruits. And when we know the main name that is being thrown around is Frank Kessey of AC Milan. And if we're talking about having a big summer transfer window, well, I think he is a player that we will be signing then if we are going to sign him, because in the last 6 months of his contract, AC Milan aren't really going to get that big of a fee for him. And as they look to win their first Serie A title in over a decade, I think they'll be willing to sacrifice maybe 10, 15 million that they could possibly get if it means they get to keep a hold of him, a very important player, to try and win the title. We got Billy, Dan, Reese, Darren, Adam, David, Daniel. Good to see all of you in the live chat. Jack Luca as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. I do mean football, but my official title is soccer, so we're going to have to go with that one. Josh saying we need signings. We absolutely do need signings. And one person who agrees with you there is Antonio Conte. After the game against Chelsea last night, he said, if we think with the January transfer window we solve the situation, I'm telling you a lie, not the truth. First of all, it is a very difficult window in January, and if it's the right players that are out there. Now that quote has kind of been brought down a little bit, where he essentially said a January transfer window won't solve our problems here. Kind of seems more of a dig at the squad, but when you read the whole title, the whole quote, he is talking more about the difficulties of getting things done in the January window. But if he was criticising the squad, I think after the performance last night, that would definitely be justified. He's also said, I don't see in the transfer window the resolution of our problems. Our solution is to work and fix a lot of the aspects of this squad. To think that to buy one or two players to solve it is not right. So he said, look, we need more than that. And he's not wrong. It could be a bit of a slog this January window as we look to maybe get into possibly 3 signings. But as he said, it's not going to fix all of the problems. William Kyle, Six Abbey, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. And Smokehouse Stu, channel member in here. Good to see you, Stu, as always. Antonio Conte has also really spoken about the decision making within these transfers at the club, and in his Sky Sports interview ahead of that cup tie against Chelsea last night, Antonio Conte said he is giving his opinion to the Tottenham board about transfers, but ultimately the final decision does lie with the club. He said, I'm a coach, I'm a manager, the last decisions are up to the club. And I think that's more of a kind of a general look at the how managers are, what the job really is in football nowadays. And he was reminiscing with the reporter about back in the day when if he wanted a player, he went out and he signed him and it was his decision. But it's not the way that is anymore. Adam Clark, good to see you, says 3 signings this window would be a miracle. It would, but with a few potential outgoings, maybe that is a little bit more likely. A few more updates from journalists, and as Dan says, there are lots of talk about a centre-back but no reliable links. And the very next line I have here is Fabrizio Romano, who has said that Tottenham will go for a central defender in January. The priority is a centre-back, and we know that, but as Dan says, we don't really have any reliable links. We have some talking about Alessio Romagnoli and maybe getting him on a pre-contract deal to join the club on the 1st of July this year. But if we want to get one now, he probably is in the same bracket as Frank Kessey, where they'll just be trying to keep him to try and get that title over the line. Gianluca Di Marzio say that Tottenham will be the leaders of the transfer market in the summer, with many important transfers taking place. And I hope we're the leaders of the transfer market in the summer. Of course I do, because that would mean we're making big signings, we're making important signings, we're making a lot of signings. I really, really hope that happens. But I don't want us to sacrifice this January transfer window in expectation of that summer transfer window. Because if we want to sign big players, if we want to sign world-class stars, the best thing that we can have in order to attract them is Champions League football. And if we don't make the investments necessary in this January window, well, we're already setting ourselves back when it comes to the summer. Because in the Europa League or in the Conference League, I mean, what really is the point of having these massive plans to go out and spend 100-300 million pounds if you don't have the Champions League football and the necessary quality within your team already to attract that? For me, it just doesn't really make sense. Dykel Patrick says Conte is prioritising a right wing back, who we'll talk about in a second, and a forward this month, while Paratici will begin laying the foundations for a busier summer window. And Lyle Thomas as well says, of Sky Sports says Tottenham will almost certainly do business in January. So a lot of updates there. We will do business in January, but the big bits could potentially be in the summer as more money becomes available and as we've more time to work with what we do want. And the biggest thing to talk about with what's going on at the moment is the potential swap deal between Adama Traore and Matt Doherty. And as Adam says there in the chat, good to see you tuning in. Adam says, does Doherty back to Wolves make a lot of sense, especially with him wanting first team football and he'll be playing second fiddle to Nelson Semedo? And this is exactly what I have written down in front of me. It doesn't make sense. From Matt Doherty's perspective, it doesn't make sense. And there are three different parties, of course, to take into consideration here. I think Adama Traore to Tottenham is a deal that will be pursued regardless of Matt Doherty's future. But for Tottenham, it makes sense. We can leverage Doherty to try and get a deal for Adama done, whether that's on loan or a permanent deal. If you're Wolves, I don't see why you go back to him. And there's talk of Atletico Madrid maybe looking to bring in Nelson Semedo as they lose Kieran Trippier to Newcastle. But Mateo Moretto this morning reported that they've actually made a bid for Zeki Celik of Lille. So that could be their right back where he's dealt with. So for Wolves, why would they go back to a player that they ultimately let go of because he didn't really fit their system anymore? Because as Nuno reverted to four at the back for his final year at Wolves, Doherty doesn't suit that. And we saw that in the latter stages of his time at Wolves, and we also saw that in what he did in his first season at Tottenham. So they ultimately let go of a player that was surplus to requirements that just didn't really fit what they wanted to do. Why would you then go back and bring him in, especially on loan? Because I mean, if you're going to lose him for 6 months later, what benefit does he really give other than just taking up a bit of something on your wage bill? And then the main person in all this, the main person who has to agree, who is Matt Doherty. And for him himself as well, it's a regression in his career to go back to this club that let him go, 18 months ago at this stage, where he will be playing second fiddle to Nelson Semedo. And it's as simple as that. He's not going to get ahead of Semedo in that team. He's having a very good season. And Doherty hasn't played well in probably 2.5 years at this point. For me, I don't think this is going to happen. The ITKs on Twitter a couple of days ago made it seem as though it was a done deal. It certainly is not a done deal. It's far from a done deal. But anything is possible in the window. And if Doherty is told he won't even get on the bench at Tottenham, maybe going to get on the bench at Wolves is just the lesser of two evils for him. Aaron says, would you take Akadina back from Cambridge as a centre-back? I wouldn't take any player from Cambridge, not one of them. You need to stop talking nonsense. Cheers for beating Dean last night, though. Looking at the reports on this one, Tim Spears, one of the main reporters for Wolves, has said that Wolves are anticipating Adama Traore will leave the club either this month or in the summer. As things stand, no prospect of him signing a deal. And of course, his current deal runs out in the summer of 2023. So they're essentially just looking to cut their losses at this point and get in a bit of a fee for the player. Jack Pitbrook says Tottenham Hotspur are considering a fresh move for Adama Traore this month with a view to turning the Wolves winger into a wing-back. Matt Doherty could return to Wolves as part of a deal to bring Traore to Tottenham. Wolves currently value the player at about £20 million. Fabrizio Romano has been a bit more definitive on this one. He said Tottenham will try to sign Adama Traore in January, although Wolves don't want to sell him this month. And Dykel Patrick has said pretty much the same. He said Adama Traore was wanted by Spurs last summer, but Wolves are not eager to sell mid-season and would demand a significant fee this month. So with some of the reports saying that it is potentially a £20 million price tag, because it's mid-season and Wolves will definitely have to get in a replacement for him. Maybe it's not the best time for them to sell, and maybe they will up their price for this month and maybe lose about $5 million if they sell him in the summer instead. Kilpatrick also says that Matt Doherty will be allowed to leave, while Spurs are also open to offers for Stephen Bergwijn and Dele Alli, with a loan exit most likely for the latter. And a report as well from The Sun, who say Tottenham Hotspur will send Matt Doherty on loan to former club Wolves this month. And as I understand it, it is a loan inquiry that Wolves have made about the player. But again, a lot to be figured out and a lot to kind of learn before we can actually make proper assumptions on where this one will be going. Niall, thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Hugo Lloris, and the latest on his contract update has come from Fabrizio Romano, and he says that current contract talks between Tottenham and Lloris are over either a straight 2-year deal or a 1-year deal and an option to extend by an additional year. So Tottenham not happy with 1 year, more with the with a club captain and World Cup winner. They want 2 years, just whether it'll be a straight 2 years or 1+1 is yet to be decided. And I would assume that is Hugo Lloris kind of not sure. I assume he'll want to go back for his swan song season in Nice before he does retire, which he was rumoured to potentially be doing this summer. So maybe he's deciding just how long more he wants before going back there. Romano's also said the renewal of Hugo Lloris's contract with Tottenham is one of Antonio Conte's priorities. We've had a few lines on a few other players with Harry Kane. Rob Dawson of ESPN have said that Harry Kane is still a Manchester City target for the summer, and there have been some other noises that the people around Pep Guardiola are still saying he is the perfect candidate to fit in that Manchester City team. Dan Kilpatrick has said it is hard to see a future for Tanguy Ndombele under Conte, although there is currently little noise about the record signing leaving this month, and Fabrizio Romano has already told us that Tottenham are working on a solution to try and get him out of the club. Played an important part, I suppose, when he came on yesterday against Chelsea, if it was in a tactical sense more than his performance. But it still looks as though he's not in Conte's long-term plans. Dan Kilpatrick also says that Joe Rodon could go on loan. A few players younger players that aren't really in the squad, but Kian Etete was recalled from his loan at Northampton, where he scored 6 goals this season. He's been out injured since November. John Palmer, who broke the news that loan would be cut short, has said that Tottenham Hotspur striker Kian Etete on loan to Cheltenham Town is done. So Tottenham recalled him from Northampton to send him up a league to Cheltenham in League One. Northampton manager John Brady on Etete's recall has said that this news is obviously a blow to us. Spurs want to see him play at the next level up sooner than originally expected. We understand that Spurs received an offer from a championship club to buy Kian, but have no intention of selling. So there is interest in the player, but Tottenham clearly investing in his future. One that we already knew, but is being reiterated by a few sources, is the future of Cameron Carter-Vickers. And Sky Sports have said that Tottenham and Celtic are in talks over a permanent deal for Cameron Carter-Vickers. The structure of a £6 million fee is being discussed between the two clubs. And the Scotsmen also say that Celtic are in discussions with Tottenham Hotspur over the permanent transfer of American loanee Cameron Carter-Vickers, although the London club are not willing to budge on their valuation of the defender. Celtic have an option to buy clause for the 24-year-old, who has been capped 8 times by the United States, but it is being claimed that the fee is £6 million, so Tottenham unwilling to drop that price. And I'd argue at this point, how long has it been since he played for Tottenham? He's been loaned out time and time again. He's doing well at Celtic. Ange Postecoglou has said they want to make this permanent. It's their priority. Just let him go. Just let him go. Give him to a team that will actually play him. I think it's bizarre that he still is a Tottenham player. And if they're haggling over a couple of quid, I'm not sure it's really worth it. Cody says 153 watching, 42 likes. Support Matt by liking the stream. It's free and it helps. And Cody, as always, is absolutely spot on. I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that like button. Let's see if we can get up to 75 likes with the 150 of you that are watching. On to potential incomings, and a player we've already spoken a bit about, Frank Kessey, and the rumours out there at the moment. Dan Kilpatrick has said that AC Milan midfielder Frank Kessey, who is out of contract at the end of the season, is considered a target in Italy, while Alessio Romagnoli and Stefan de Vrij, also free agents of the summer, are well known to Conte and Paratici. So again, those centre-back targets that we're really hearing about are ones for the summer, and then we could sign a free contract. We need ones now. Sven Botman, I think, is staying at Lille. They've turned down an approach from Newcastle, so he's out of the question. And my main man, Alessandro Bastoni, I don't think there's even any rumours about that one, which is kind of disappointing. But Sport Media say that AC Milan have rejected a swap deal between Frank Kessey and Tanguy Ndombele from Tottenham. And the Daily Mail also say that Tottenham's bid to sign Kessey in January has reportedly been frustrated by the Serie A giants' refusal to accept a swap deal involving Tanguy Ndombele. Kessey is Antonio Conte's number 1 target, and I think it's a bit ambitious offering them Ndombele in return for Frank Kessey. But if they're trying to get these deals done, let's not complain about how they're doing it. Philippe Coutinho is a player who will not be joining Tottenham this window. As you can see beside me in a second, Aston Villa remain the favourites to bring him in. Rob Dorset of Sky Sports have said that Tottenham have confirmed they are not interested in signing Philippe Coutinho, and I've seen Rob Dorset get a little bit of stick for this one, because he had previously said that Tottenham, Arsenal and Newcastle are reportedly also interested in signing Coutinho. He said reportedly interested in signing Coutinho, as in there are reports. He did not say that was his information. He clarified when he said that Tottenham aren't interested, that they heard these reports and they followed up with the clubs. At this point, they hadn't heard back from Arsenal or Newcastle, but Tottenham had confirmed that they were not interested. On contrary to that, Sami Mokbel has said that there's a degree of interest from Tottenham Hotspur in Philippe Coutinho. So interesting as to whether or not that interest was there, but Sami Mokbel says that it was. Tariq Lamptey, a right back that a lot of us want to bring into the club, a position that we're looking to improve on this summer. Well, Fabrizio Romano has said that there are no bids from Tottenham for Tariq Lamptey, and Graham Potter, the Brighton manager, has said that he expects all of his players to remain at the club this window. The Sun have said that Lamptey is emerging as a key target for Tottenham, but Antonio Conte may have to wait until the summer to land the £50 million rated starlet. And to be honest, I don't think this is a deal that Tottenham will ever get done. I don't think it's one that we should even bother pursuing, because he's a player with such quality that if he does ever leave Brighton, first of all, it will be a £50-60 million deal that Tottenham really can't afford at the moment, and it will be probably to a team at a higher level. He could go back to Chelsea, or it could be a team of a similar ilk that, as we saw last night, Tottenham certainly are nowhere near. So I think that's one that we can probably forget about. For Dejan Kulusevski, Gianluca Di Marzio has reiterated that Antonio Conte and Fabio Paratici both like the Juventus winger. Quite a bit to talk about on Dusan Vlahovic, and I love this first report. It's from Gianluca Di Marzio, who has said that Arsenal are the most interested club in Tottenham target Dusan Vlahovic, but the player's entourage are aiming for more ambitious projects and aren't even answering their calls, which is just beautiful to hear. The more ambitious projects that have been mentioned are Tottenham, Manchester United and Manchester City. So we'll have to wait and see where that one goes. Gianluigi Langari, he's maybe given us a bit of an insight into where that one will go. And he has said that Tottenham are working strongly to sign Dusan Vlahovic for the summer, and are also attempting a difficult move to get him in January. Now, if it's in January, it could be a £70 million deal. It's believed that will be reduced to about £40 million in the summer, as his contract moves into its final 12 months as well. Tariq Panja of the New York Times has been speaking as well. He said an English club, not Arsenal, spoke to Fiorentina on Wednesday about Dusan Vlahovic. The club in question needs a statement signing, and a lot of people kind of feel as though that is Tottenham. He also said Fiorentina are desperate to sell in this window in order to get the €70 million plus fee. So Vlahovic, I think, like Adama Traore, like Frank Kessey, and like centre-backs, will rage on for this entire window as to whether or not those will happen. As always, a few reports from unknown or lesser reliability outlets or journalists. Rahman Osman has said that Antonio Conte wants Tottenham to sign a striker this month to compete with Harry Kane and give him opportunities to rest, which he believes will help him return back into form. Lil Baz, good to see you tuning in. No need to apologise for being late. Foosball transfers say that Tottenham are interested in signing Ivan Perisic should the Croatian become available from Inter Milan. And I discussed this one on the Irish Hotspur a while ago. He's a player who's on form. He's a player who was very important to Antonio Conte's team last season when they won the league. He made 32 appearances, and in 17 appearances this season, he's already matched his goal tally with 4 goals in the Serie A. But at 32 years of age, I think he's just a player who's outside of the demographic that we should probably be looking for, because it's a different kind of project that Antonio Conte has taken on at Spurs. It's more of a rebuild rather than one where you're building for immediate success. And I think signing someone like Ivan Perisic would be maybe a bit of a different direction that I'm not sure we'd want to bring this project at the moment. Dara with €2 super chat, thank you so much for that, Dara. I appreciate it. Says, didn't Fiorentina sign a striker today? Carl Simpson says they did. I haven't seen anything on that, but I will have a quick look here on Twitter to see if or see who the striker was. I genuinely didn't see anything on that, but it would be good news for Spurs if they did do that, if they're already perhaps preparing for the departure of Dusan Vlahovic, who actually starts tonight in their game against Udinese. That's on their Twitter anyway, but I know they have been linked to some players that they could bring in, so hopefully they did sign a striker. Calcio Mercato say that Tottenham have made the first inquiries to Bologna regarding a transfer for Matthias Svanberg. Tancredi Palmieri says that Newcastle are also interested in Tottenham target Dusan Vlahovic and are preparing an offer of €70 million. Would be a very Newcastle thing if they did that. France Blue say that Stade Rennais are interested in signing Tottenham goalkeeper Hugo Lloris. And look, given what happened in the Conference League, I'd be very surprised if there was any business done between Tottenham and the French club, but stranger things have happened. 90 Minutes say that Tottenham are monitoring Bayer Leverkusen striker Patrick Schick, and Tottenham are expected to try and sign both Frank Kessey and Alessio Romagnoli on free transfers from AC Milan. Football Insider say that Fabio Paratici is in constant contact with Antonio Rudiger's camp and is calling every day to try and sign the Chelsea defender. And with him, things seem to have taken a turn, and he could perhaps be signing a new contract at Chelsea. But even if he wasn't, I don't think he'd end up at Spurs. Daily Express are saying that Fabio Paratici appreciates Sassuolo striker Gianluca Scamacca. He's one to keep an eye on. Tudo Mercato say Tottenham target Dusan Vlahovic will not renew his contract with Fiorentina, as we already knew. And finally, Rudy Galetti says Antonio Conte has requested the signing of Samir Handanovic. The Inter Milan goalkeeper could arrive at Tottenham for free in June. So we're becoming pre-contract FC, as was kind of expected when Paratici came in, a man who was really known for his free signings. Hopefully he can make a few good ones for Tottenham. Some other news, it is official that Tottenham manager Antonio Conte is a nominee for the December Premier League Manager of the Month award. Heung-min Son is also up for the Player of the Month award, and Lucas Moura is up for the Goal of the Month award for his strike against Norwich. Our previously postponed game away to Leicester has been rescheduled for the 19th of January at 7:30 p.m. So in the midst of what is already an extremely difficult month with three games against Chelsea and a North London derby against Arsenal in the league as well, we'll be playing Leicester in between the Arsenal League game and the Chelsea League game. So we'll have a 7-day spell there where we play Arsenal, Leicester and Chelsea all in the Premier League, which is going to be very, very difficult, but that one has been rescheduled. The FIFA Puskas Award is down to the final three nominees. Of course, Heung-min Son, the current holder of that for his goal against Burnley. Another Spurs player is in the final three, and that's Eric Lamela for his Rabona against Arsenal last season. He's joined by Patrick Schick for his goal against Scotland at the Euros, and Mehdi Taremi for his bicycle kick for Porto against Chelsea in last season's Champions League quarter-final. There are a few players missing from the squad last night, missing from the starting 11 against Chelsea that we were concerned about, and Alistair Gold has given us these injury updates. He says Sergio Reguilon was carrying a minor injury that meant he remained on the bench. Matt Doherty struggled to fill his spot, with Ryan Sessegnon yet to return from his injury until later this week. And also, in Dyer's absence, Joe Rodon is meant to come in as an understudy, but the young Welshman has been carrying a rib injury this week that meant he was unable to play. Wednesday came too soon to start. So that is why the two of those were missing last night. Eastside Live say Middlesbrough's strength and conditioning coach John Thrower has now joined Tottenham Hotspur, so in addition to the backroom staff. And Sky Sports say former Tottenham man Danny Rose will never play for Watford again and will leave the club this window. So a bit of an upsetting possibly end to Danny Rose's Premier League career, which it's sad to see, but I think Claudio Ranieri recently cited his poor fitness. So I don't know if there's going to be another Premier League team for Danny Rose. You'd hope that there is, but that could be the end of his time in the Premier League. It's got a few questions from the chat. A. Dillon says, any updates on McKennie rumours? I haven't seen anything in the last 3 days, which is where I got all these reports from, so I don't think there's anything to that. Ben Kaufman, great to see you in the live chat, my friend. Carl Simpson says Todd Cantwell is available. I know he hasn't had the best season, but would you take him? I think Cantwell is a very good player, and I think he's the type of player that we need within our squad. But if we're kind of preparing for a big transfer window where we're going to be the leaders of the window and all that, I think there is probably a higher level of player that we could target. And I think Coutinho on a 6-month loan wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I don't know if Barcelona are hoping to make that a permanent transfer, but I'm a fan of Cantwell, but I'm just not really sure if he's at the level to play in a Conte Tottenham team. To be honest, Seth says, does Dyer have COVID? They haven't said, they haven't ever confirmed the identities of the players who are suffering with COVID problems. Seth says, get Doherty out of our club. God, I hope we do. I tweeted last night that sell him to a European club because Wolves just isn't far enough away. Killian says, love your blog, Maddie. Killian, I love your support. Thanks so much for tuning in as always. And as Ken says there, Todd Cantwell isn't good enough for us. See if there's any other questions there. Will Stewart, good to see you tuning in. Says, what's up with all this Son hate? Is there Son hate in the chat? I'll be honest, I was surprised Son was nominated for Player of the Month. I was very surprised. I don't think it's been the best month he's ever had at Spurs, but I'm not going to complain if he does win an award. Andreas says, would you take an Eriksen return? I'd love an Eriksen return, even if it's just for the romance of it all. I'd love to see him back at Tottenham, and there's been talk of him returning to the Premier League. His agent has even said he'd love to come back to the Premier League. I'd love to see him in the Premier League, even if it's not for Tottenham. But if it was Tottenham, I would certainly love that one as well. Will says, how many players are you betting we bring in? I would confidently say we'll get at least two. A centre-back and a midfielder, or a wing-back. I confidently say we'll get two. Whether they'll be marquee signings, I doubt. But I think if we get rid of a few players like Doherty, like Steven Bergwijn, who I still think is going to be off to Ajax, and hopefully and Ndombele, maybe 3, but I think minimum 2 signings this window. Billy says, great roundup, Matt, better than them 2 Wallies in Sky Sports. I appreciate that, Billy, thank you. Darren says, I wouldn't panic about lack of names. We all know January is about timing, which is a very good point. I think football fans in general are extremely impatient, but when you've had the disappointment that we've had over the last couple of years, it's easier to be even more impatient, which I certainly am guilty of, and I'd argue 99% of Tottenham fans are guilty of it. But maybe we should be demanding a lot of our club, because we could be at the level of the Chelsea team that beat us last night, for example. Alexander says Perisic. I don't think it'll happen, and I think that's probably for the best as well. Adzi says, I'll be surprised if we bring in more than one player this window. If we can get Dele, Doherty and Ndombele out, it'll be a good window. I agree with that one. Guapo says, would you like to see Ryan Sessegnon start against Chelsea next week? If Reguilon is fit, I'd rather see Reguilon start, but if the option is Doherty or Sessegnon, give me Sessegnon even if his leg's broken. Honestly, I can't. It's so difficult watching Matt Doherty play in his position, but when he's out of position and inverted like that, it is absolute torture. So give me Sessegnon over him, absolutely. David says, centre-back and a striker, I think has to be a must. I don't think striker is a must. We do need one. I do think we need one. But I think we need to make our starting 11 the best it can be before we then start looking at backups and competition and all that. Because I think Kane and Son up top are the perfect option. We do need options for rotation, but I think there's moves we need to make to improve our first team before we then start working on backup. And I think centre back, centre mid, and a right winger and a right wing back, possibly those 4 positions, probably need to be addressed before we start looking at depth. Then Guapo says Federico Chiesa, incredible signing if we could get him, but never in a million years is that going to happen, unfortunately. He's just too good. He really is an extremely talented player. I've seen a lot of people mention Janssen. I was on David Harris, the Irish Hotspur stream a while ago, and there's people there mentioning Vincent Janssen as well. I know he's having a great time in Mexico, but I don't think it's a realistic option for us. Ben Kaufman says Europe isn't far enough for Doherty. Yep, look, we're coming up on half an hour at the moment, or 27 minutes. There's only 200 people watching live right now. Darren says, one day huge news will drop while the stream is happening. I don't know if that's actually happened yet. If we've had like big news drop during a stream. I've done countless streams where I've come live straight after big news has dropped, but I actually can't recall any big. Oh, there was it one of the manager streams over the summer? It was bad news, I think, where we were talking about, it was either Pochettino or Conte. We were talking about him coming in, and while we were live on stream, then the whole thing fell apart. So we haven't had any big good news on streams, but look, we're at 74 likes with 194 people watching, so please smash that like button. Let's see if we can get that up to 100. And while you were here, please do make sure to go over and follow me on Twitter. I'll drop the link in the live chat right now. I talk obviously a lot more regularly on there about Spurs transfers and about all things Spurs, really. And hopefully we'll have some exclusive transfer news on there in the next couple of days. So please do hit that link in the live chat to go over and follow me on Twitter. If you follow me back in the next 30 seconds, I will follow you back as well. So please don't waste any time and head over there and click that follow button. Last Galaxy says Coutinho signed for Villa, confirmed. That if it is confirmed, that is a massive signing for Aston Villa, and one that I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how it works out, because Gerrard managing Coutinho is going to be a joy to behold. I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet. I can't see on their Twitter, but a great deal, one that I expect to go through anyway. It would be a great deal for them. Neil says creative midfielder is critical. I agree. It is absolutely critical for us. Belfast says, could Spurs do a deal for Dusan Vlahovic now, but loan him back till the summer? I don't think that's the way this deal will go. I think Vlahovic wants to stay at Fiorentina till the end of the season to get them into the Champions League, but I just don't think it's this. I don't think this is the type of deal that will realistically go that way. Unfortunately, but look, if it did, it'd be great to get that deal done early. It'd probably cost us a little bit more, but it's hopefully one that we will get done eventually and at a cheaper price, because like I said, I don't think 70 million is a really good option for him. Billy, thank you for following me on Twitter. I followed you back there as well. And a follow from William McKenzie, and I'm not sure if you followed me from here, but I'm going to follow you back anyway, just in case. So thank you to 2V for following me on Twitter. I do appreciate it. Look, as always, do make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more of these transfer updates throughout the window. I have over 200 people watching live right now. I can't pronounce your name, but I do appreciate you subscribing. Thank you very, very much for that, and thank you for Yadil for subscribing at the start of the stream as well. I do massively appreciate it. For more transfer updates, for some big streams coming soon, and for reactions to matches like we had against Chelsea last night, please do make sure to hit that subscribe button. Smash that like button on your way out. Before we do go, we've a super chat here from Lee for £1.79. Lee, you're a legend. Thank you so much for that. Says, realistically, who do you think we will sign? To be honest with the way things are going, I think we will get Adama Traore. And again, as I keep saying, I'm not sure that's the best thing. But I do think that is a deal that we will get over the line this window, and a centre-back. But as we were talking about there a minute ago with Darren, we don't have the names. Not the biggest concern, but I think we will get a centre-back in as well. Thank you for that super chat, Lee. I do appreciate it. A few more follows there on Twitter. I'm just going to follow these back. We've got Dylan and Picho. I apologise if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but thank you very much to the two of you for following me, and you have been followed back. But for now, as always, thank you so much for watching.